morning to you. Thank you for joining us. You're watching Camnet Breakfast. I'm your host. My name is Precious Nzeya Sakaleji, and I'm not alone on set today. I'm joined by our award-winning journalist, Patrick Soko.
You are happy after saying that.
I've been wanting to say that for the longest time.
Yeah.
I'm still excited that you won your award. I'm like a #1 cheerleader. And
Yeah.
you're a top fan.
Or top fan?
Eh.
Well, the badge will be accorded to you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Good morning,
that's good.
Patrick. How are you?
Good morning. How was your week? Eh?
I didn't see my week pass by.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how we got to Saturday. That's how distracted my week has been. But it has been a good week. All I can say. For the fact that I'm alive today, it's been good enough.
Interesting.
How was yours?
Yeah, I think mine has been very hectic. We've been moving up and down, looking for news in the capital city, Lusaka. But that has been the major preoccupation for us. And we had to accompany you on this morning drive. At least you were saying you were surprised how Saturday came by, but we saw it coming for some of us.
Because you have to wake up like early than the usual days.
Exactly.
Anyway, we're here.
So today we have interesting interviews on the program.
Yeah.
We are going to be hosting this Executive Director Veronica Mwaba, who is going to help us discuss science issues in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as how climate change is threatening food security. We are also going to talk to Professor Faston Goma, who is the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Eden University and Center for Primary Healthcare Research Director. Is also a tobacco control expert. So we are going to be talking about issues to do with tobacco control in the country. How far have we gone in terms of the registration that is supposed to regulate this industry? So we are going to be talking to Professor Goma on that score. And other segments, of course, Precious, the usual one, and one we are going into just now, which is the morning boost.
Good morning, Camnet viewers. Welcome to our quick morning show. And I am your presenter, Isaac Matsa. I'm here so that we can do a bit of exercise before you jump on that vehicle and go and do your work. Let's do a warm-up as usual. I'm excited. It's a beautiful morning, a brand new day. You better be positive and do what you know. Let's go. Hamstring, stay at it. Let's do now two each. Let's go. 1, 2, and 1, 2. Stay there. 2, 1. Try it. Tell your habit to join you. Let's do it together. 2 each. 2 each. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 4, 3, 2. Back to step touch. Let's go. 4, 3, 2. Hamstrings. 4, 3, 2. Back to step touch. And 4, 3, 2. Hamstrings. Matching. Let's match. Lift your knees high. Hip, 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 hip. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do a warm-up. Okay. So that was your warm-up today. And we're going to do something else now. The first thing we're going to do, I'm giving you some squats. Okay. Here we go now. Put your feet together. Watch my body posture. Let's go now. 20 at a go. If you can't do 20, please do 10. Okay, let's go. Let's go, mommy, daddy, involve your children. 1, 2, 4, go down. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20. I'm gonna face this direction. Go! Move. Okay, 20. Still with squats. Take a break. Relax your legs. Good morning workout, isn't it? Let's go, another 10 now. Watch the space. This is what I do now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try it. 5, 6. Good for your body. 7, 8, 9, 10. So that was 10. That's the second one. In case you had too much of Mishima last night, let's burn all that fat now. Another 10. Ready? Feet together. Open your stance. Go down. Touch the ground. 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Push. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 20. Trust me, if you're doing it exactly like me, right now you can feel pressure on your thighs. 20 more. Remember, the first one we did was 40. This one should be 40 as well. After that, take a shower, jump on that vehicle, your bike, your car, and go for work. Let's go. 20 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! I'm burning fat here. Do it. You thank Camnet later. Last one. Let's go, Team Camnet. Let's show them we can do this. Last 10. After this, you can have your coffee and go for work. 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll do 2 for you, 1 for you, 2 for your wife, 3 for your children, for my producer, 1. Great. That was 40. So you did 2 types of squats. Remember? There was the skill squat and the sumo squat. Now, forget about the names. What's important is for you to do the workout. Right now, I can't even talk properly because I'm working out. I'm burning fats, I'm burning calories, and that's what you ought to do. Every morning, try this. If you miss it in the morning, try to do it in the evening. Remember where I started from? Let's march. And back. We are winding down now. Thank you so much for tuning in to our breakfast show. Please make sure you need to exercise always because you only have one body to carry out your assignments. And I am signing out. I'm Isaac Matsa, and see you.
Welcome back. There you have it. There, Isaac Matsa, there doing what he does the most, and that's helping us exercise early in the morning. Precious, do you do that kind of flexibility?
Well, yeah, I actually run sometimes. The longest I can do is like 3 kilometers. That's the longest. Even when I'm not looking at my distance, when I do 3 kilometers, my body just says, my friend, oh yeah, sit down. So yeah, that's the morning boost. Now getting into our sports update for today. The teams are done on the group stages, so they've now proceeded to the round of 16, since we know that we are in the atmosphere of the Africa Cup of Nations. So those are some of the matches that you should be looking forward to starting tomorrow.
Yeah, we have Burkina Faso will be playing Gabon tomorrow. This match will be played at 18 hours Central African time. We have Nigeria versus Tunisia tomorrow as well at 21 hours. And we are going to have Guinea versus Gambia. The one we almost say Zambia, you know, Zambia arrangement, yes. But Guinea will be up against the Gambia, and Cameroon will be playing against Comoros. And these games will be played on Monday, and on Tuesday we're going to have Senegal versus Cape Verde, and we're going to also have Morocco versus Malawi, our brothers in the southern region.
I'm excited that Malawi has pushed through.
Yes, Malawi has put up a very good fight. Can we have a scroll up there? We have Ivory Coast versus Egypt, and we're also going to have the last game, which will be played between Mali and Equatorial Guinea. Interesting stuff there we are seeing, but the sad part that we're only seeing one team from the southern region, which is Malawi. And Zimbabwe couldn't qualify. We are also seeing the Arabs also. Okay, Egypt had a tough time. We are progressing to the next round, but they eventually qualified because they pick up towards the end of the group stages. We also have Morocco and Tunisia in terms of these Arab nations that managed to qualify. Unfortunately, the defending champions, Algeria, were eliminated. The Black Stars of Ghana also couldn't make it to this round of 16. These are some of the changes that we are seeing in the AFCON, an indication that football is really taking a different dimension and that nations are doing much to improve their performances. And we're just wondering, as Zambia, when are we going to be that competitive nation in order to compete favorably at tournaments like this one? We'll be also looking forward to qualifying to the next AFCON, and that I think Zambians won't take no for an answer, because watching this tournament without our country has been really hectic. And that's a sport update that we had for you in the on the Camnet Breakfast. We're going to have the program we call Off the Pitch, which comes every Saturday and anchored by Amos Lungu, where all the details that you need to get abreast with in the world of sport will be given during Off the Pitch.
Yes, of course. So that's your sports updates. That's the furthest we can go, me and Patrick. So at least hear me even like goes in the deep. For me, it's just the it means the start. You do the thingy, and then Amos will do the main meal when it comes to sports. Exactly. I'm looking forward to the match between Ivory Coast and Egypt. Looking at Egypt tactically has a good it's going to be a very good game. Looking at the past performance by both countries, and also I'm behind Malawi because it's the only country on the other side that has managed to make it to the round of 16. Now at this point, ladies and gentlemen, remember that you can actually be part of this conversation. Just call us live in the studio on 09686752 or get to our Facebook platform, and then we can get interactive from there. Now, are we zooming into the headlines? We'll go to exchange.
Money market.
Okay,
so
we get to money market.
Understand how the kwacha was performing there.
Yes, so now looking at the foreign exchange rates, the United States dollar is buying at 17 kwacha 31 ngwe and selling at 17 kwacha 65 ngwe, and then the British pound is buying at 23 kwacha 49 ngwe and selling at 23 kwacha 95 ngwe, and then the euro is selling at 19 kwacha 64 ngwe and selling at 20 kwacha 3 ngwe. South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 14 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 16 ngwe. That's your foreign exchange rate for today.
Interesting, and I'm seeing the kwacha there depreciated by 1 point, because it is now trading at 17 kwacha. All this while it has been trading for the past month. It has been trading at 16 kwacha. Now it has gained to 17 kwacha, which is not good. It's not a good indicator in as far as the performance of our currency is concerned. It shows that it is depreciating. We only hope remedies are being put in place to ensure that the kwacha remains stable to avoid any further depreciation, because any further depreciation in the wake of the high inflation rate. It will affect the prices of commodity on the market.
The food and non-food items.
That's pushing the cost of living high. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. And talking about the inflation rate, Patrick, I feel like there are a few people, I can't say we are a few people that understand how the inflation rate, the increase of the percentage in the on the inflation rate can actually be related to how goods, non-food and food items are actually affected. I feel like one of these days we'll have a conversation where we talk about the inflation rate and how you as the citizenry can actually understand how that works and how it goes about. Yeah. So yeah, I think we should work on that.
Yeah, we have to do that.
Okay, so now getting into zooming into the headlines. Yeah,
we can zoom in some of the stories that were trending in the main news. As of yesterday, there was a story regarding the UPND cadres who were before the courts for alleged murder cases, a murder case rather. And we saw a police testify how he witnessed one of the UPND cadres hack a PF member. So we go straight into that story, then we'll be commenting on the other side. Remember, you can join in the conversation and comment to the stories that we'll be playing during Zooming the Headlines. Stay tuned.
As the High Court was Friday morning expected to hear testimony from more than one witness in the alleged murder case involving 8 United Party for National Development cadres who are accused of killing 2 Patriotic Front cadres last year, the state applied for an adjournment after the court heard testimony from one witness on ground that they were having challenges to proceed with the matter and needed more time to reorganize themselves. And counsel representing the 8 says he hopes at the next court session the state would have organized themselves so that the matter can proceed, as his clients have been incarcerated since last year.
This matter has been adjourned to Tuesday next week. The state has indicated that they are having challenges to proceed with the matter, and they wanted a bit of time to be in a position to reorganize themselves. In the interest of justice, I think we have protested as the defense that our clients have been arraigned, they have been detained since last year. And as you know, murder has got no bail. You can't go on bail, you can't go on police bond. So the state has been given the last opportunity to bring the witnesses, because they're the ones who brought my clients in court.
Earlier during trial, a state witness, Inspector McDonald Mwamba, testified before Judge Charles Zulu. So Samson Mumba, one of the accused, with another male suspect who were hacking the PF cadre David Kabunda with a machete. Inspector Mwamba, who first started his testimony by narrating how he and other officers rushed at the said scene, where it was alleged that the 2 camps had clashed. He found the accused hugging the deceased with a machete, but upon him firing 1 gunshot in the air, Mumba and the other male suspect fled the scene. This is in a case in which Samson Mumba, Kelvin Banda, John Mwanza, Njekwa Putao, Ruben Nalikana, John Walia have been jointly charged with 2 juveniles aged 16 with 2 counts of murder contrary to Section 200 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the Laws of Zambia. They are accused of killing 2 PF cadres, Dan Kasongo and David Kabunda, on the 30th of July 2021 after UPND and PF cadres clashed in Lusaka's Kanyama compound during the campaign period. However, during cross-examination, the state witness, Inspector Mwamba, told court that he only saw the alleged machete used on Kabunda before he discharged the gunshot. He further informed the court that he was not aware that the 2 machetes that he presented before court were collected at the scene, despite testifying in his examination-in-chief that he was the team leader of the police team on the material day. Meanwhile, counsel representing the 8 accused had this to say shortly after the court adjourned the matter.
I want to assure the dear colleagues that the matter is in safe hands before the judiciary, independent judiciary, independent public prosecution that we have in Zambia. Therefore, we are confident that they will arrange themselves and be able to bring the witnesses.
Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
There you have it. That's the story there involving some UPND cadres, Precious.
Yes, quite interesting. I didn't know, first of all, two things that I've learned. I need to be paying more attention. I didn't know that when you are a suspect of murder, it can't be, there's no bail or police bond. And those guys have been in prison for like 6 months. I was asking to say, so when they're sentenced to, like, let's say 3 years imprisonment, do they count the months that you have actually spent in prison before you were judged, or maybe that's on you? You're on your own.
No, usually they count, because
so if I haven't gotten,
that's part of the sentence probably. So they say, okay, since you've been in custody for this long, they put it part of the entire sentence. But sometimes if you are on murder, sometimes you are convicted to life imprisonment, and you don't, so it doesn't have to count, you understand. But sometimes if it is usually sometimes if the sentence is reduced, where you are not you have been just allocated years, then they count that as part of the sentence you have saved because you're already in detention, incarceration. Yeah.
Okay, it makes a lot of sense. I've never had a sentence to, what do you call that, hanging?
Yeah, Zambia has not been hanging people for now, because it has remained
for now, or maybe it's still under debate that it should be removed on the thing.
No, the current laws provide that some people can be sentenced to life, right? They can be hanged, or they can, by the state.
Okay.
But the presidents, the successive presidents should have been from all Levi Mwanawasa. They haven't been able to sign to convict people to be hanged. Okay,
so they just put them life in imprisonment.
Yeah, imprisonment, yes. So Zambia has been an abortionist state. So an abortionist state means that it's not taking that punitive action, not because it is defined the law, but no one is signing that consent to say someone should be hanged now, because when they say, okay, you are up for hanging, you can be hanged at any time. But for now, the heads of states, like we had the previous president Edgar Lungu. I'll give you an example of Edgar Lungu. During his entire term, even Michael Sata, even Upia Banda, they never convicted anyone they never signed any consent to hang anyone. So these people were not hanged; those were sentenced to
I'm sure
death.
even like a place where they do like a sentence to death. Yeah,
because
it's deserted.
Yes, because we haven't been doing that for a while. Even the previous president didn't do that. Hakainde Chilema has not signed anything like that. So for now, they just remain life in imprisonment. Yes.
Nama pardons.
Pardons.
I feel like people that way back, if there are people that actually used to do that, I feel like it's very traumatizing. Like no, you know what? Let me not even think about it.
Yeah. So usually it is so, but that's what the Human Rights Commission of Zambia has been advocating for, that Zambia abolishes the death penalty, so that we stop hanging people. So the death penalty discussion is ongoing at the moment. So it is just about to gain momentum about how society responds to it. Then the death penalty can be eventually removed from the Zambian statute, so that Zambia remains an abortionist state in terms of death penalty.
Okay.
Yes.
We learn every day. Getting into our next headline.
Yeah, so we can also zoom in another interesting story, which is about the inequality protest that you and I have been talking about with the people from the Inequality Alliance, who eventually took off. They had their protest in Bauleni, where they are highlighting these inequalities, and they are advocating that we as a country start taxing the rich. And this event was covered by Alex Chishimba. First of all, we understand the needs of the people in that locality, because Bauleni is at the central place in terms of where it is surrounded by very developed areas.
Yes.
So, but if you go in Bauleni, it's a different story. So it reminds our leaders on the need to ensure that there's development in that in that area, not just Bauleni but across the country.
Yes.
So we go to that story so that we get to hear what are some of the demands that were put forth by the citizens.
Situated right in the middle of the Lusaka Central Constituency, alongside its neighboring townships such as Kabulonga, Ibex Hill, Minwood and Leopards Hill, areas considered to be of the elite, Bauleni is a peri-urban community of Lusaka with a long history of achievements, not to mention its challenges such as the lack of access to clean water and high level of unemployment. As Zambia joins the global protest to fight inequality, dubbed Time to Tax the Rich, aimed at calling for a people's recovery plan for an end to spiraling inequality crippling societies globally. Concerned residents of Bauleni of Lusaka Central Constituency have shared their challenges faced by the community, ranging from the youth to mothers in streets.
850 info munga 150 manzi kunevuta vonse nikugula so boma yanganepo pali ma inform ya bana pa maskulu na unga yanganepo boma stiza kwanisa bana futi akaleka opunzira zambo kamba kuti bana bazamba kuba bakamba kuba bana akamba tini majanki makolo tiale kelele yanganepo boma so mkama pali zingachi 850 school inform ya mwana grade 1 so yanganepo boma 850 ngaito semkalembla
yanyanya stiza kwanisa 850 palichani hapa ma grade 1 palichani palikulisa kulipe ni ngono micheya mena yavuta.
As the youth lament over the unemployment levels.
Yabo kambyo kambate teva tipshe kama government kabiri Bauleni na kwa tamaini kuli Kings Big 3 wai wakonda abantu bakabangesa machito bapanga kwati ma peace work rasa makampani yakuru yafunika bura ma contract forms
batlase tukutamu bagamba zimbeto mwato mwa kansina tena bebetu manzi novuta akolo bato butika buta kusa tomato era pala otpe hapo situruku shashinayo so betu ona shapa so hapo bitiba hapa bagamba maizi wewe bati yakumbulu ke tira kwa chana baba
so mfuna chana
kashe bintu vuwanga bagamba kashe ntuma iponka bagamba kashe ntinasiza geto bonza kunatsa result tina bastola po future changes.
During the event, Kabulonga Ward 19 Councillor Kosam Tembo has assured the people of Bauleni that the new administration will, through his office, meet the various needs of the people, especially with the increased Constituent Development Fund, CDF.
We trying to decentralize the opportunity that every member of our community must have as a key to their warfare in the community. Let's talk of one of it like free education. New Dawn government has brought a policy that everyone, each individual within our community must access education regardless of their background. Under DEBS have released a circular to say no any government school is allowed to sell school uniforms, and parents have not been restricted to buy school uniforms just from government schools, but they can get school uniforms anywhere where they're comfortable with, as long as the color code and the design matches with the requirements of the school.
Further, Ward Development Committee Vice Chairperson Irene Simasiko says the committee is set for the change that will come with the implementation of the fund.
The vulnerable people, we've got a lot of people in Bauleni, a lot of children who are not going to school because they haven't been given bursaries, and that's what we are trying to promote. We want everybody to be the same, to be treated the same, whether coming from Kabulonga, whether coming from the Bauleni, we are all the same people.
Meanwhile, Des Mwilima, the National Coordinator for Fighting Inequality Zambia, has explained the ultimate goal for the campaign.
A lot of inequalities that we can see. It's situated right at the center of the prestigious Lusaka Central Constituency. And I don't know, does it look like King's Landing to anyone? No. No? How about Kabulonga? It doesn't. So we're here last week. We came to support the community. We came to support the councillor and the MP as well, as they were having a community forum with the community members to just speak through what are some of the challenges and how can these challenges be resolved.
Nalema kujakidiriwa, nalema kutengewa, naideni na marat ya
Alex Shimba, Camnet News, in Lusaka.
Quite interesting. When we were talking about Bauleni compound, it's surrounded by so many developed communities, and it's very disappointing that it's one of the underdeveloped communities, considering the fact that there's Kabulonga this side, there's Ibex, there's Kingsland, there's what's the other side?
Twin Palm.
A lot of them. When you move there's Salam on the other side. So I feel like I understand those guys, and considering the fact that there's
the CBD is in this same constituency, Lusaka Central.
I think that should be looked. There are quite a number of communities like that. So I think the fighting inequality should actually continue with their campaigns. I hope that one day the plight will actually be heard.
If you ask me, Precious, I think there is an opportunity to change that narrative now that we have increased the CDF allocation, which is about 25.7 million kwacha. So I think there's an opportunity to develop areas like Bauleni so that they are able to also have decent living, because at the end of the day, if you go there, everything centers around Bauleni. Garbage, lack of water and sanitation, all those issues are in Bauleni, but you wouldn't find them in Twin Palm, Kingsland.
But you know, water problems, talking about water problems, even Kabulonga has, some places has water problems. Even Ibex Hill, there's some places that have water problems.
But there's been also the ability by those people who live there to be able to put up a borehole, which they are managing. But the people in Bauleni cannot manage to put up one for themselves. So you have those communal ones which cannot even adequately service everybody. So at the end of the day, there's that inequality at the end of the day.
Anyway, well, we're hoping that that can be fought. That was zooming into the headlines. About now we get into our first interview for the day. Remember that you can actually come through live on set on 0968675273 or get to our Facebook platform and comment your opinion. For now, we get into our first conversation for the day.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Hello, I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
From 31st January to 6 February 2022, Zambia's spiritual atmosphere will take a paradigm shift. The Bible says, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord."
Zambia, a Nation Under God conference will be starting at 19:30 hours to 22:30 hours.
Live on Camnet TV channel 274 on DSTV, GoTV channel 98 and Topstar channel 106.
Speakers will be
Bishop Stanley Siminyola, Grace Ministries;
Dr. Nevas Mumba, Victory Ministries;
Apostle Michael Mutemwa from South Africa;
Bishop Nelly Chikwanda, New Life Christian Center;
Apostle Rick Kamwanga, Risen Life Church International;
Bishop Joy Makando, Bread of Life;
Bishop Alex Mwami of Holy Ghost Firehouse from South Africa; and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chilua.
Camnet Television,
not just another channel. To all parents and guardians of the Camnet stars, be informed that there will be a meeting at the Healing Word Ministries International Church in Ibex Hill on 22nd January 2022. Time 10 hours to 11:30 hours. The future of this nation is in the hands of your children.
And we are just preparing for the game next week, the friendly match. We are working really hard and preparing for our first match.
Camnet Stars, the upcoming soccer giants in Zambia.
Interesting there. And we have been joined in the studios by a science communicator, that's Veronica Mwaba, who is going to help me discuss another important topic which we have themed the science agenda, especially in the wake of the COVID-19. There are a lot of changes that are coming with that. And Mr. Mwaba, welcome to the program. Madam Mwaba, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Interesting. And we've been talking on the other side.
It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
Yeah,
you know.
Interesting.
Yes.
I want you to help me with this conversation that the science agenda, and there was no better person than you, Mrs. Mwaba, who has been championing the science discourse in the country. I want us to talk about key things. Let's start with how important is science, especially in as far as development is concerned.
Science and technology is critical for the development of Zambia.
Interesting.
In any case, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate the new Dawn government for creating a dedicated ministry, science and technology. This is a good move. So we congratulate them. So getting back to your question, why science and technology is important, for Zambia to fight disease, to enhance food security, to create new industries, to combat climate change, it lies in the knowledge and skills of its people. So this is the reason why science and technology should be at the core towards national development. If we are going to achieve the SDGs by 2030, then the government of Zambia should put or allocate, increase resource allocation for research and development. That's the way to go. Because the country can only be developed by the Zambians. Yes, it's good to talk business, but investors come and go.
Interesting.
Yes. So we have to rely on our own people. For example, there are a lot of lessons learned on COVID-19. When the borders were locked, our health experts were there 24/7 to save humanity in this country. We lost some of them, but they are still doing it. So we need to support them. We need to support their work. And it's not only that. When you talk about science and technology, we must zero in to the key sectors of the economy.
Which are those sectors?
Yes. There's an aspect of science in all of them. If you talk about agriculture, for example, you talk about health, you talk about education, the ICTs, the environment, all that. There's an aspect of science. So this is the reason why we must keep this running. The advocacy must keep running. The research must go alongside the advocacy just to send key messages to the policymakers, to the technocrats, to put more money towards research. And this is what we need. If there was any opportunity for me as a science communicator, I would lobby that all the constituency development funds, for example, it's about 25 million, whatever, per constituency, treble that amount towards research.
But Mrs. Mwaba, are we doing enough as a country, if you ask me, in terms of funding research and our scientists?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I can give an example. Do we have leading researchers in the country? Have we read about them? Are we aware about the work they are doing in the background? This is the platform that we have created, because we need to create a platform, you know, so that these experts speak for themselves. They must not remain in the laboratory 24/7. We don't know what challenges they are facing. Are they being given enough resource for research to conclude what they want to investigate? I doubt. And I can give an example on that. Let's zero in on, right now, I must say that, you know, experts, in fact, they give warning. Today, they are saying between now and 2044, the climate change impact will be devastating. And this is what we see now. We have seen, and this is what is happening. Floods, droughts and floods in selected districts. Crops have not been spared from disease. We have seen our livestock, for example. You know what? My heart bleeds. Each time I speak as a science communicator, I hear this voice of that man. You know, the media covered it extensively, who lost his livestock. 70 were slaughtered because of the foot and mouth disease. Is it an event? We hear this every year. The vaccinations are going on, but is there anything that is happening in the background to find a permanent solution to save livestock? Is there anything that is happening in the background, you know, to have some of the basic requirements? If the government does not invest a lot of resources in research and development, Zambia will remain as a nation that will depend on other countries to access basic requirements, those which can be produced by our own young people in the country. We see these young people, you know, every year when there are exhibitions, they are picked from all over the country. They come to Lusaka, they come and exhibit. They showcase what they have done. At the end of it, they are given an award, a certificate. Some of them have had these certificates, 10 of them every year. But why can't we do these things in a more organized way so that the experts test them, they check, have this been plagiarized? Is this new innovation supposed to be taken, you know, up to that level where it reaches the prototype? Patent it. We have PACRA there who can protect these innovations, but it's expensive. Some of them cannot manage, they don't know what to do, and yet we see these people exposing. We are losing ideas, by the way. You know, we are losing ideas because they are exposed through media. They are exposed, they are not protected. And someone will come to this country 2-3 years down the line and say, hey, Zambia, do this. And yet that innovation was already existing. A lot of research has already been done. And this is, as a science communicator, I just want to recommend, to take this opportunity to suggest to the Science Ministry and Technology to take lead in reorganizing these researchers. They should get back to the archives. Is there any research or innovation that has been done? Is there anything is there anything in the journals, in the publications? Is there anything that has been developed for, you know, for market needs, that which is current? We have the universities. How much is there? You know, Zambia has done research. 50 years of research, 50 years of agriculture in Zambia. The past, the present, and the future. And if you read these publications, what these experts are done, all the challenges are in that document. But we need to start unpacking. You know, it's the application. That is what we need to do. So we cannot wait for someone to come from somewhere to come and tell us what to do. You know, I've always thought in my mind that, you know, there are these authors, Boyd Barrett and Chris Newbold, Media Approaches 1995. And I always relate this when they say that, you know, mass communication, they relate it to like a sports field at the Olympics. You know what happens there? When you are at the Olympics, for example, there are a lot of people there. You know, some of them go as spectators, others go there to play the games, others just go and sit, they come out with nothing. But when others go there, they come out rich because they go there to identify talent. That's what happens. And they pick those and make money. And then I relate this to my country, my beloved country, Zambia. You know, we are not proactive. We have exposed ourselves too much. Some of the things we must show the world that this is what we can do. And we have experts in various disciplines, but then they need that kind of support. But then it's a two-way thing. The experts also should also rise up and showcase that they can do the work.
Interesting. In case you are just joining us, I'm hosting Veronica Mwaba, a science communicator. She's passionate about science and technology, and she has been making proactive efforts to ensure that the science agenda in the country is actualized. And Mrs. Mwaba, I want to also now tapping into your field. What have you done practically to ensure that you create that platform for scientists as well as communicators like yourselves, so that this information these researchers have is well communicated?
You know, I just like that question. In the first instance, before I started doing the science communication, I invested in my education. One. I have a secretarial background, but I've been living and learning. I diversified in my career in 2010. And my first stint was at Zambia Mass Communication. And thereafter, I did my first degree with Cavendish University. And that was not good enough. Then I decided to do my master's. I have a triple major master's degree with the University of Leicester, United Kingdom. Media Studies, Communications, and Public Relations. But when I did my master's, I decided further to, I must say, I didn't decide, but I was given an opportunity to specialize in science communication by the World Federation of the Science Journalists of Canada. In fact, I must take this opportunity to say, when they noticed what I was doing, they offered this opportunity to have mentors, and I was given an opportunity to choose either have mentors from South Africa, Zambia, or Kenya. But then at the time I was working for a regional organization, the largest economic bloc in Africa. So when I sent those applications to 1 or 2 universities locally, I didn't get any response. I realized I was losing time, and I submitted my application to Media Environment Science Health Association of Kenya, and I got that within a couple of hours. And they provided mentors in Kenya, others were in Uganda and Ethiopia. So wherever I went during my duties, I was given extra days. I must thank my former employers. Actually, I was there for 8 years. The Common Market for East and Southern Africa, I was there for 8 years. So each time I was assigned on duty within the COMESA member states, so I was able to meet these experts, you know, so that they ensure that I do more work. And that was in 2016.
Interesting background there. And we see that that's where even your passion
and just one more. And after 2016, I decided, having worked, you know, directly under the supervision of the scientists, I traveled extensively within the region. So when I left, then that's when I formed an organization called ZAMBIA Science and Technology Trust. And when I was covered by you people, that's how I had another opportunity. I was identified as a potential global leader by Cornell University of United States of America. Then I went there for another training in 2018. Then I became the Alliance for Science Fellow, team lead. I'm now the team lead for Zambia.
Interesting. What opportunities are you creating for young journalists like Soko to ensure that they also contribute to the science agenda?
Well, that's really a good question. I must say, yesterday, in fact, I received an email that we need to look into that, and a sponsor is coming on board. But then, before we embark on training to train Zambian journalists, because there's need to specialize actually, we must see a number of journalists covering maybe nuclear science and technology, other things, you know, others, those who want to specialize in health, those who want to specialize to be a correspondent, you know, in any other field. So they, according to the communication that I received yesterday from the Alliance for Science, United States of America, Cornell University, they said they will start building capacity in me first, beginning February to March, before we start sharing knowledge with the rest, before others can go for training. So another training is coming. Yes.
Interesting. Well,
yes.
I want, before I let you go, Mrs. Mwaba, I want us to also understand a few things regarding this issue you mentioned on climate change vis-a-vis food insecurity. But what sort of preparations as a country do we need to put in place to ensure that we are ahead of time, especially in terms of our local scientists as well as communicators?
You know, the preparation has to be now. The good thing is that these experts in the country, they already know what the challenges are. They have done their research. They know that. They already have this information. The only thing, in my interaction with various experts, we note that a lot of funding is required. So when these experts are reorganized, this is the reason why, you know, I'm just appealing to the Ministry of Science and Technology to take lead, to reorganize this. Let them have an interval. Let them select what is it that they need to do first. Because what it is now, what we are seeing is that these experts, some of them are not heard for some reason. Some of them are taking advantage of the platform to raise their profiles. But they need to know that you cannot win as an individual. You can't. They need to be organized, and let there be an interval. Select what is it Zambia needs first. What is the urgency of this? Do they need resources? Let their voices be heard. They should speak for themselves. Let them have a voice. And this is important, because when they do that, the community also will begin to recognize a voice. Because when the community gets confused, it becomes harder for them to accept the modern products which are on the market. Public engagement is very critical. We have to be strategic in approaching the society, because it's in a two-way fashion. They must listen to, get the feedback from the public that helps them also to improve their products. The public also should listen, because we have the experts. We need to build that trust. This is what we need to do, and it has to be done now. It can only be done if we are organized, if we come together and see. Besides, we must send a message to the Science Advisory Committee. I know that Zambia has a Science Advisory Board which advise the policy makers. Where are they? They should come out and say, this is what we need, this is what we want to do. For us, as media, we provide that platform for them to speak for themselves, because we are avoiding he said, she said. No, they should speak and say, this is what we need, because the reason is very simple. Scientists or experts or researchers, they promote the progress of science. That the achievements of science is popularized by the media. So we are partners. We have a symbiotic relationship. We are interdependent. They need us, we need them. And we also need to send those messages in a more organized way to policymakers. Not all policymakers are scientists. We want, when these issues are tabled in Parliament, if there are going to be any budget cuts, they will cut in other areas, but they will not cut for resource allocation towards research and development. That's the Zambia we need. We have to do things on our own. I mean, I think I think we just have to nayo science.
Interesting.
We have to do things on our own.
Yeah, so I'll give you an opportunity to give me your concluding remarks on our conversation. What are those things you want to communicate, especially to the nation? Because like you already indicated, that we have the Ministry of Science and Technology in place now, and this ministry has to function, and it is people like you who have to also provide insights on how we move forward as a country.
You know, because of the COVID-19, the message I have is to the message for the Zambian people. We are active participants of research, and I've always said, as an individual, scientists belong to families. And when they belong to families, they have children, they have parents, they have nephews, they have whoever. Honestly, if they say this is safe, take it. Let's take it. The public should respond, because we do not want to see a situation whereby we get back to the lockdown. The movement of people cannot be stopped. COVID can be stopped by people. The movement of people cannot be stopped because we need to put food on the table. The vaccines alone cannot stop COVID-19. The people can stop COVID-19 by adhering, by following what the experts are saying. Mask up, wash your hands thoroughly, observe the distancing, and this is what they are saying. And what I like about these experts is that they tell the facts, because their work go through rigorous testing until scientifically proven that it's a fact. And that's what they do. And they have said, COVID-19 is complex. A solution is yet to be found. But for now, this is what we should do. Let's do it.
Thank you. Let's do it. There you have it. I've been talking to Madam Veronica Mwaba. She is a science communicator, and we have had a very good conversation there. Hope you've gotten one or two things there that are pertinent to your well-being, because science is important to development, because it is informed based on research. We'll take a short break. We'll be back on the other side.
From 31st January to 6 February 2022, Zambia's spiritual atmosphere will take a paradigm shift. The Bible says, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord."
Zambia, a nation under God conference will be starting at 19:30 hours to 22:30 hours.
Live on Camnet TV channel 274 on DSTV, GoTV channel 98, and Topstar channel 106.
Speakers will be
Bishop Stanley Simnyola, Grace Ministries;
Dr. Nevas Mumba, Victory Ministries;
Apostle Michael Mutemwa from South Africa;
Bishop Nelly Chikwanda, New Life Christian Center;
Apostle Rick Kamwanga, Risen Life Church International;
Bishop Joy Makando, Bread of Life;
Bishop Alex Mwami of Holy Ghost Firehouse from South Africa; and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chilua.
Camnet Television,
not just another channel. To all parents and guardians of the Camnet Stars, be informed that there will be a meeting at the Healing Word Ministries International Church in Ibex Hill on 22nd January 2022. Time, 10 hours to 11:30 hours. The future of this nation is in the hands of your children.
And we are just preparing for the game next week, the friendly match. We are working really hard and preparing for our first match.
Camnet Stars, the upcoming soccer giants in Zambia. Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. There you have it. You are watching the Camnet Breakfast, and today we have been having an interesting conversation with Madam Veronica Mwaba on the topic of discussion surrounding science and technology. And I'm joined in the studios with another guest. Interesting discussion we're going to have on tobacco control in Zambia, and that is Dr. Faston Goma. He's a professor and he wears so many hats, and for now I'll just refer to him as a tobacco control expert because he has been proactive in advancing the tobacco control agenda in Zambia even before I even thought of becoming a journalist, according to research that I've done for myself. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Soko. It's good to be here.
We appreciate that you could find time to be part of the program.
Thank you very much.
We are talking about tobacco control in Zambia, and first of all, I just want our people to get to understand you, because this is the first time we are hosting you on our platform, especially on the breakfast show, and we want to understand your professional background. Who is Professor Faston Goma on a professional level?
Thank you very much, Mr. Soko. Professor Faston Goma is a professor of physiology and cardiovascular health. My main area of study has been the heart and how it keeps people going. I'm a medical doctor by profession and practicing cardiologist. I think I got into tobacco because it is a main risk factor for heart disease. And I think in Zambia we are getting more and more heart diseases as time goes by. And a lot of people, you know, have very high blood pressure, people are having stroke, people are having, you know, a lot of cancers and all sorts of diseases which come from tobacco use. And so we thought, well, I think we try and find out why this is so. And our main conclusion was that people are just ignorant of the fact that tobacco is harmful to health. And so we embarked on a campaign to try and increase the volume of knowledge that is available to people out there, that they should be aware that tobacco is actually harmful to health. And I think that's what we've been doing from, I think I got into the tobacco control arena in 2008. And we are 2022, we are still talking tobacco control. And I don't think we are making very large gains. And so it's good that you have called us into your space as well, because I think together we must try and make an advance. Tobacco is harmful to health, and people must know that it is harmful to health. But they will only know if we tell them.
Yes, I'll start with my first question, which states, why do we need to control tobacco?
Well, as I said, because it's very, very injurious to health. Someone once asked, but why did people start smoking in the first place?
Yes.
And I really think that, people are fond of finding things that are harmful to health that look like fun when it all starts. And I think that's where we are with tobacco. People smoke, they think it's fun. And now people are starting to sniff tobacco, using insunko, they think it's fun. Some people actually put in their mouth and chew on tobacco, and they think it's fun. But what tobacco does actually is it gets people hooked. It gets them addicted to using it. And so the more they use it, the more they feel satisfied. But really, tobacco has more than 7,000 chemicals in it. And of those chemicals, more than 4,000 are actually poisons, very, very poisonous to the body. And we know that more than 70 of them actually cause cancers, different cancers in the whole body. But tobacco is one product which actually injures the whole body from head to toe, and it injures the entire population from the fetus in the womb down to the old man who is going down to his grave. And so it's a very, very serious vice that we need to fight. And that is why I think we need to put our efforts together. Let people know that tobacco is harmful to health. Let them keep away from using tobacco. It's actually not food. And so I think it's time we started, ringing that bell so that people keep away from tobacco. And that way we're going to bring the harms of tobacco down.
Talking about tobacco control, it cannot be done without us discussing the conversation around the tobacco control bill, which has been in its draft form for a long time now. Successive governments have made attempts. We have not yet made substantial progress, as we indicated that we are still far in terms of winning this fight. I want to find out where do we stand in terms of this legislation. Is there hope under the new administration?
Well, I think we have a lot of hope, because the fight for having the tobacco control bill, I think started around 2008 when the government actually signed the document from the World Health Organization called the Framework Control on Tobacco Control. That signature committed the Zambian government to doing everything possible to control tobacco in the country. Fortunately, at that time, the current Minister of Health, Honorable Sylvia Masebo, was actually in government, and she was the Minister of Local Government at that time. And she was actually told of the intentions of the government to control tobacco, especially to try and protect people from harmful effects of tobacco smoke. And at that point, actually, she moved faster than the rest of the government and brought out the statutory instrument number 39 of 2008, which banned smoking in public places. And now we are talking about this bill again. She is now Minister of Health. This bill must be sponsored by the Ministry of Health, because it is the Ministry of Health which is losing a lot of money through the diseases that tobacco is causing. And so in enacting that law, it will actually protect itself against the shocks that tobacco is bringing to that particular industry. And I think we have in government now a lot more ministers who are well enlightened about the harms of tobacco. And looking at the quality of the leaders we have in Parliament, we are confident that they'll work together towards enacting this bill. And so join us as we really push that legislation must move. Because I think it's well known now that legislation is one main tool that we are going to use to control tobacco use in this country. And if we do use that tool well, we will have huge gains Because we are getting to appreciate now not only the health effects of tobacco, but we are getting to appreciate now the economic harms of tobacco as well. Because the Ministry of Health did invite the United Nations Development Program to try and calculate how much money the government is losing because people are using tobacco. And the UNDP had consultants who looked really at the health side of it. And they are saying that, the government in totality is losing close to 2.8 billion kwacha per year just because people are using tobacco. Most of that money is in treating diseases which are caused by tobacco. Some of that money is due to loss of productivity because these guys, instead of working, they go out to smoke. And so we lose a lot of minutes, and those minutes make hours. So there's a reduction in production, in productivity because of tobacco use. And then there's a distraction that comes because people have forgotten a lit cigarette in a room, and so it causes fires and things like that. In total, 2.8 billion being lost per year.
That's quite a huge sum.
Exactly. It's 1.2% of our GDP. And really that is a very, very big drain. You cannot lose more than 1% of your GDP on something that is not food. And so we think that, controlling tobacco is going to bring about huge gains in that we will definitely have the 2.8 billion back, but at the same time, we will have much more because people become more productive, people become less sick, and so they will be losing less time in going to the hospital to try and get treatment for those diseases which are being caused by tobacco use.
Interesting. In case you are just joining us, you are watching the Camnet Breakfast. I'm Patrick Soko. We are discussing the tobacco control in Zambia, and I'm hosting a tobacco control expert, Dr. Faston Goma there. We are having a wonderful conversation, but if you want to also join in, you can call the number that is on your screen to be able to participate via text message as well as calling direct to the studio if you want to join the conversation. You can equally do the same on our Facebook page by indicating what you would want to find out on our topic of discussion. We keep the conversation going. Now, proceeding further, Doc, I want to find out what are some of the contentious issues in the tobacco legislation, considering that while you've been advancing this agenda, the tobacco industry on the other side has also been trying to say otherwise. And we understand on our perspective as journalists that this legislation was among the probably the only legislation that was subjected to the business review. So I want to find out what are some of the contentious issues?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I'll start with what you are trying to hint at, and this is the business argument. And that has been the largest argument that the tobacco industry has put forth for this country. Because you see, Zambia is a tobacco growing nation, and we export almost all our tobacco, except now that we have these two tobacco manufacturing plants in Zambia now. Less tobacco is going out, but we were exporting our tobacco, and the tobacco industry was saying that Zambia is gaining so much from tobacco sales. If they do tobacco control, they are going to lose all that money. Now the question is, how much money is that? Okay, the money that we are getting from tobacco trade is very, very little, especially when you compare it to how much money we are losing. In all, when you talk about our tobacco going out, and we talk of this tobacco which comes in as cigarettes and all the trade around tobacco, the government makes about 0.4% of our GDP. Now you remember I told you that we are losing 1.2%, so we are losing 3 times more money than we are gaining from the tobacco trade. But the tobacco industry has put that as a main argument. And even now, I'm sure you know that the government recommended that they should increase taxes on tobacco. The tobacco industry actually did go to make a complaint to government that should the government do that, They are going to actually jeopardize their business. And in doing that, people are going to lose jobs. Now we are wondering which people are going to lose jobs. Okay, how many people work for these tobacco industries? Very, very few people. Okay, and they don't really make all their money from Zambian smokers. The industries which have been put in Zambia are large enough to actually supply our neighbors as well. You know, the guys are producing, I think, in excess of 21 million cigarettes a minute, 21,000 cigarettes a minute. Okay, how many cigarettes is that? And Zambians are not able to smoke it all. So these people are exporting their cigarettes as well. They are making a lot of money out of their tobacco manufacturing and tobacco trade. But the Zambian government is not making much out of it. But somehow they find a way of telling the government and convincing the government that actually they are contributing to the economy, to the Zambian economy, which is really not true, you know. And so we'll be urging the government to be steadfast in dealing with the tobacco industry, to try and show them that actually they are not adding any value to this country. If anything, they are destroying a lot of people's health. And I'm sure we all have examples of relatives, you know, who have been smoking and now they are down, either because they have had stroke or they have had heart attacks, or they are just having, you know, a chronic cough which never ends. Okay, and for those people who have asthmatic children, if a husband smokes especially, you find that the child gets very, very frequent asthma attacks. And so the mother is always at the clinic, you know, having the child treated and things like that. So there's a lot of injury that is being caused by tobacco, and it's being used in Zambia. But those are some of the counter arguments. Then there's another counter argument, of course, concerning smoke-free spaces.
Exactly.
Okay, I did tell you that Honorable Sylvia Masewo had actually brought out that statutory instrument. The enforcement has been very weak. From 2008 to now, it's actually not being enforced. In a lot of public places you go, people are smoking freely.
And while we are talking about that, Prof, it brings us to the issue of second-hand smoke, where even some of the people who don't smoke, because we are not regulating that aspect as well.
Exactly. You know, that is why that statutory instrument is so important. Because in Zambia, at the most, we have, you know, 26% men smoking. 26%. Which means we have 74% men who don't smoke. Okay? As for women, it's even worse. You know, women smoking, we're at about 8% now. Meaning 92% women don't smoke actively. But the problem with second-hand smoke is that, you know, if I was to smoke in this room, all of you will be smoking with me. And you'll be getting what we call second-hand smoke. It's as harmful to you as it will be to me as the active smoker. And so we are saying that, you know, non-active smokers, passive smokers, must be protected. And this law provides for that. And I think we are hoping that now, once we have this whole aspect put into the comprehensive bill, we will work together to make sure that it is enforced, to make sure that, you know, it is well implemented. And I'm sure it is possible to implement it in Zambia. And I hope all of us will rally together to implement it. Because those of us who don't smoke are in the majority, okay? Those who smoke are in the minority. So it should be possible for us to tell a smoker, hey man, move away from here, okay? Your smoke is affecting me, okay? And so in that law now, we are proposing that we should not only ban smoking inside enclosed areas, but we are saying that even if someone is smoking outside a room, there must be some distance away from the building so that their smoke doesn't filter back into the building. I think this is a problem we are having at places such as the airport, you know, where you have a designated smoking area and then a restaurant nearby. All the people in the restaurant will be getting second-hand smoke. And we're saying, no, please, no, there should be no designated smoking areas. All the spaces where the public gather must be 100% smoke-free. And smokers must know that, you know, non-smokers have a right to clean air. And it's a right. so nobody really should stamp on each other's rights.
Interesting. Tobacco control in Zambia is our topic of discussion, and we are unpacking some of the trends in the tobacco sector, and we are trying to discuss issues that are pertinent surrounding this sector, which has had no regulation despite Zambia subscribing to international framework on tobacco control. We have not yet made the gains in as far as addressing tobacco is concerned. So we are going to look at this other aspect. What is in terms of consumption, are we also seeing young people getting highly involved in this tobacco consumption?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. Now, one thing that we enjoy doing in the research space is getting evidence for issues such as prevalence, to say, where are we? Are we increasing or decreasing in the number of people who are using tobacco? And to do that, we need to do surveys, serious surveys. And in Zambia, we started quite well. I think that was 1987. We did the first, what is called the Global Youth Tobacco Survey. This is a survey of young people, 13 to 15-year-olds. Okay. Now, by Zambian law, a child under 18 should not buy cigarettes. Okay. And so we are expecting 13 to 15-year-olds not to have been introduced to tobacco use at all. Okay. But I think the last survey we did was in 2011. Okay. And at that time, we could see the trend was going up. More and more young people were starting to use tobacco, meaning that, there were more and more children were starting to smoke, and more children were starting to use insonko, okay? Especially the girl child, unfortunately. And we thought, well, we need to do something to try and protect children from using tobacco. But the last few years, we have not done much in getting information out into the public. And we tried to do a survey 5 years earlier. We actually didn't do very well. But I must say that we had a survey done last year, just towards the latter end of 2020.
And the results out?
Well, the results are under discussion right now by the survey statisticians. But we always have leakages, okay, of these results. Because one thing you have to do as researchers is to try and get to see the evidence coming off hot from the press, so to say. And we have the figures now, I think, coming out, and the figures are rather frightening. The last survey we did was showing us that children smoking were around 25%, okay? Now, 25% is very, very high, especially for the girls. You remember I told you that in older women, we were under 8%?
Yes.
But in girls, we were at about 25%. This last survey that was done, I hear we are hitting 30-35%. Meaning we are going up by 10% in 10 years. It's dangerous. Okay? It's dangerous. And the boys as well. The boys were also at 25%, same as the girls. And now they have gone up also into the 30s. Okay? Now, having anything really above 5% increase, we would say is an epidemic. Okay? And so really getting into the 30s, we have another pandemic at hand. Okay? Now this is a pandemic of tobacco use, and worse among our younger generation. Because you see, tobacco initiation is always done in childhood. It's very rare for someone above 21 to start smoking and to get addicted to smoking. Very, very rare. So most of the people who start smoking, they actually start doing it in teenage years. And that's the age that needs to be protected. Now, if we have 30% of 13 to 15-year-olds smoking. It means that by the time they get to 18, this figure may hit 40%. And these are the people who go into adulthood as smokers. The problem with that is that they will not only be smoking a lot, but it will be very difficult for them to stop smoking. And so one thing that we are looking for as health practitioners is to help treat that addiction. But that addiction is easy to treat in people who start smoking later. It's very difficult to do it in people who start using tobacco, who start using tobacco earlier in life. And so we have a disaster at hand, in that now we need to move towards not only working for counseling these people out of their addiction, but we have to look for medicines to treat tobacco, tobacco addiction. And those medicines are not cheap, But the main problem that we have now, of course, is our tobacco industry. When British American Tobacco were opening their factory in Lusaka, they did say that, they wanted to increase their local market. Now, what does that mean? It means that
initiating more people.
Exactly. We want to recruit more people. And who are those more people they want to recruit? It's the children. And these results are showing us that, yes, they are doing it. They are actually succeeding in getting younger people to using tobacco. And this is being made worse by these vices which are coming in now. I'm sure you've seen the shisha jar, this water bottle, which they use, and then you bubble gas through it. That is another gadget that is coming in. The youths are using it, they think it's fun. But it's one gadget for initiating them to tobacco use. They easily get addicted to using tobacco, and you can't move with that jar everywhere. So if you are away from the jar, you use ordinary cigarettes.
Interesting. Talking about initiation systems are being employed by the tobacco industry, we are also privy to the issue of cigarettes that are using electricity, or let's say also we have also tobacco in form of sweets. What are those? What does those techniques do to our young people, especially?
Yeah, the electronic cigarette is another dangerous item that is coming in. And again, it came in when they started manufacturing the electronic cigarette. The tobacco industry, they said, well, we want to clean up the tobacco. Okay, because I said, that tobacco smoke has 7,000 chemicals. They said, we'll try and remove all the chemicals. We are just going to leave nicotine alone. Okay? And so you package this nicotine in a cartridge, which you put inside that electronic cigarette. Okay? And so that electronic cigarette, once they switch it on, it actually has a mechanism for vaporizing that nicotine. And so this child vaporizes. Okay? And you have said it well that actually it's another gadget for initiating the children to tobacco use. Because what the nicotine does is it creates that craving for nicotine. And once you are away from the electronic cigarette, you will go for the ordinary cigarette. And I think a lot of teenagers are actually going that way. And it's getting worse now because, the government has put in some amount of control on advertising of cigarettes themselves. So there are very, very few cigarette adverts actually coming up. But now they have started putting up big adverts on vapor, on vaping. Now vaping is nothing but nicotine sniffing or nicotine smoking, so to say. And the government has paid a blind eye to those posters, which is again a very, very subtle way with which the industry is dealing with our young people. So they are inviting them to start using the electronic cigarette.
Yes.
Soon those children will be using ordinary cigarettes, and their sales will go up, which means that there will be more sales from the tobacco industry, but more damage to our young people and more damage to the society as a whole. So I think we need to fight on all these gadgets, And that is why in the law that we are trying to support with the government now, we are saying they must not forget these gadgets which come with tobacco use. So we are hoping that the bill will be comprehensive enough to address both tobacco itself and nicotine delivery products, whatever they are. Should it be shisha, should it be electronic cigarette, they should all be regulated together with the tobacco. That is what is going to ensure that we start seeing a reversal in the number of tobacco users, and also a reversal in the diseases and death that are being caused by tobacco use. Now, you know that the Zambian government has signed up to the Sustainable Development Goals, okay, SDGs, and in the SDGs, the government has committed itself to reducing tobacco use by 30% by 2030. And 2030 is not very far, you know. We are 2020, we have 8 years to hitting that target. And if these figures for the young people are correct, we are actually not only moving towards achieving that, but we are moving away from achieving that figure. Because instead of us reducing on the number of young people using tobacco, as I said, the figures are showing that we have actually had an increase in that number. And we would extrapolate that there is also a similar increase in tobacco use among adults. We are hoping that, you know, we can get more research, especially if we can get the global adult tobacco survey done in Zambia. That will do us a lot of good. But we have the census coming, and the census gives us very good figures on tobacco use. And so we are hoping that the tool that is going to be used this year has adequate questions on tobacco use that is going to give us figures on national prevalence on tobacco use. And also, we have to get information on Sunko. Okay? Sunko is also another substance, you know, it went out of fashion, but it's now back. Okay? And we are very, very worried about it. Especially that, you know, it's a habit that is taken up by women especially. And women, obviously because of their reproductive functions, are a special species. We need to protect them against a lot of these harms. But I hear more and more of them are beginning to use Sunko now, which means that we may have a community coming up that will be born with an amount of damage. And what we are worried about mostly is brain damage. We don't want, you know, to have children who are born, you know, with brain damage just because their parents were using Sunko. That will bring us, you know, really a population of idiots. And, you know, those are the people who are going to destroy the nation. So for us to protect the future, we need to make sure that our women are very healthy so that their children are born not only well, but with that intelligence that is required to run a nation. And so in protecting the future generations, I think we must say to our women, please look after yourselves. Don't take that which is injurious to health, among which is tobacco, among which is Sunko especially.
Interesting there. We are having an interesting conversation there on tobacco control in Zambia. And that brings me to another issue where in one of the sayings they say, going partying with a wife is like going poaching with a game ranger. Now, talking about the tobacco industry, if you are talking about the tobacco legislation, and according to the tobacco interference index, Zambia poorly performed because it indicated that the tobacco industry is highly interfering in Zambia's tobacco control legislations. So I want to get your perspective regarding that same index, and just how do we need to ensure that the tobacco industry does not get too involved at all in the tobacco legislation bill that is pending enactment.
Thank you very much, Patrick, for asking that question. Really, I think that is one statistic that came out which you journalists did not really broadcast in Zambia. We performed very, very badly on that index. I'm sure you know that there were 14 countries that were surveyed, and Zambia was the worst among the 14. And that should not be a statistic from a country that is as well informed as ours should be. I'm sure you know that, in Africa, I think Zambia still boasts of having a lot of educated people. I think we are one of the most educated nations around. And education should bring us good habits, should bring us healthy habits, so to say. But that tobacco interference index was a real shame. We have been trying to understand what exactly is happening. And one thing that is happening, Patrick, is that our leaders do not know how to relate to the tobacco industry. The problem we have, of course, is that Zambia is a tobacco growing nation. And so, because it is a tobacco growing nation, the tobacco industry has made sure that tobacco is one of those crops which must be preferred because it brings in dollars in the country. And so the government has taken it to be, well, just one of those crops. It brings us money, okay? And so they have moved it. Actually, even now, we find that there's very little talk about tobacco from Ministry of Agriculture. The tobacco talk comes from Ministry of Commerce. And who does the Minister of Commerce interact with? He interacts with tobacco industry. Okay? In tobacco industry sits at the table of the Zambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry. At Zaki, they think that the tobacco industry is one of those upcoming industries. One of those, industries which is going to bring in a lot more money. Okay? You can see the growth now that, just in the last 5 years, we are now having a third plant coming up to produce tobacco in Zambia. Okay? And all of them are saying, oh, we are bringing in so much money. And so the narrative has always been on the commercial side. And so our ministers have been interacting with the tobacco industry like they interact, with the beverage industry. Like they would interact, with the pharmaceutical industry. No, to them, it's just another industry. Let's sit at the table and let's discuss. But really, tobacco industry is not an ordinary industry. Tobacco industry is like, it's like mosquitoes, okay? Just like mosquitoes, are vectors for malaria, tobacco is a vector for many more diseases. But our people do not know that. And so every time we talk about tobacco, it's from Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And so commerce and industry think that tobacco are their friends. So the executives from tobacco industry go into their offices freely. They discuss with them freely. As I said, when they heard that taxes were going to be increased, they freely went to Ministry of Commerce. Okay? They freely went to Ministry of Finance to complain about, those taxes. Why should you tax us? Okay? And if you tax us, the tax, our production is going to go down, our profits are going to go down, and so we are going to pay less tax, we are going to get less money. And the government thinks, oh yeah, these are economic arguments. Okay? And that is where we've gone wrong. We are hoping that now we will educate our government to say tobacco industry is actually an enemy. Just as we want to control the mosquito, we need to control them as well. Because if we don't, they are going to cause more disease and more death. And once the ministers can take that, we will see Zambia coming up on the tobacco interference index. We have everything that it takes to be a well-informed nation, to actually do good things, so to say, when it comes to our relation with the tobacco industry. And I'm sure this government will do the right thing.
Interesting. And as I wind up our conversation on tobacco control in Zambia, we are living in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, and I want us to just find out what is the relationship between the COVID-19 pandemic and tobacco use, especially in terms of what are some of the consequences there?
Yeah, thank you very much. How can we go away without talking about COVID-19? I think this is one pandemic which has really devastated the nation, and it has made us lose very good friends and relatives, and we are all mourning because of tobacco, because of COVID-19. Now, you see, tobacco, especially smoked tobacco, causes the lungs to be rather weak, okay? It causes the lungs to be fertile for welcoming COVID. the virus that causes COVID. In that, you see, for the virus to get into the body, it gets into the lungs, and there it actually must look for small windows through which it enters. Okay, those are what we call ACE receptors. Tobacco makes the lungs to have a lot of those ACE receptors. So it's like you are creating a lot of windows in the lungs for COVID virus to go into the body. And once it goes into the body, it causes a lot of damage because of the system that has already been weakened by tobacco. And so those who smoke have had a very, very bad outcome when it comes to COVID-19. They have had very, very bad COVID pneumonia. Their recovery from COVID pneumonia has been very slow, and most of them have actually died because of COVID-19. And then I'm sure you've heard that COVID-19 also causes a lot of clots. Okay, and those clots are the ones that have caused, heart attacks especially, and sudden death in a lot of people. Tobacco actually does the same. So tobacco, once it comes into the body, it causes, the blood clotting system to move towards increased clotting. And so when COVID gets in, it just finishes off that process. And so we've got a lot of colleagues who smoke, who have had stroke during this COVID-19 and who have died. And then there's been a problem, of course, with high blood pressure. We know tobacco does cause high blood pressure, but COVID also causes high blood pressure, okay? And so the two put together, blood pressure has been really uncontrolled in COVID patients. And so most of them have ended up either getting stroke or getting heart attacks or getting into heart failure because of COVID-19. So tobacco has brought us a lot more harm than good. And it has made the COVID-19 pandemic worse in Zambia just because people have been using tobacco. And as you said, it's worse for us, for those people who actually don't smoke actively themselves, but who are found in environments where there's a lot of environmental tobacco smoke. The passive smokers, they have also gone down. Okay, we wish we could have a way of counting these people properly.
Exactly.
Because we are saying without COVID, tobacco alone was causing 7,300 deaths per year without COVID. Now, in the presence of COVID, we should actually recount and say how much excess death has COVID caused because of tobacco use. I'm sure there would be very, very interesting figures. But as the COVID pandemic ensues and other viruses come in, it would be nice for people to mind their lung health. And lungs are greatly damaged by tobacco. And so it is a must that people must keep away from tobacco smoke, must keep away from all forms of tobacco for the sake of good health.
Thank you.
Sure, Patrick.
Interesting. Thank you for finding time, Professor, to be with us in the studio. We value your time.
You're welcome, Patrick. The pleasure has been mine.
Thank you.
And I hope we will continue this partnership with Camnet, and that we will use Camnet as a channel of getting more and more information to the public.
Interesting. Well, we'll continue working together in as far as contributing to issues that help build the nation. Well, our dear viewers, we thank you for finding time to watch the Camnet Breakfast Saturday edition. When Patrick Soko was with Precious Musea, and we also hosted Madam Veronica Mwaba before Professor Faston Goma as part of our guest today on the Camnet interviews. And we are going to say our bye-byes just now. Remember to stay tuned to Camnet TV. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel. Stay tuned.